Hey everybody, it's Casual Boops coming at you with another video, and today we're going to be reviewing the E100, one of the several German heavy tanks at tier 10 in the game. Is it one of the oldest? I think the Mouse is the OG, right? But the E100's been around for a while. Used to be not very good, just power creep hit it pretty hard, but I think it was maybe a year and a half ago. It got some buffs, and it's actually pretty solid these days. Without further ado, we'll get into the stats, and I'll be real fast about this. But in general, this is one of the few tanks in the game at tier 10 that has two guns that are both competitive. Right? Originally, the 128 was not very good. It was the same gun that the Mouse still has. It was just something you had to grind through. It sucked. And then it also gets this 15 centimeter. So both guns are actually okay, right? The 15 centimeter has 750 alpha. The standard pen is 246, which is not that great because the accuracy is really bad. But it gets this heat round that has 334 millimeters of pen. So like, if you choose to run the big gun, it's definitely funny, right? Hitting people for big numbers is good stuff. But in general, if you are looking to carry games, the 12.8 centimeter is definitely, I think, the way to go. It's a little more competitive, a little more consistent, and so on and so forth. But it's not like either one of them is the wrong choice per se. But you get same. Let's see, what is it? Same standard penetration. Slightly lower premium APCR penetration. But again, the accuracy is so much better. It just feels better. Just feels better. And I've messed this up. So 100 with the S. Yeah, which is weird because the soft stats appear to be almost exactly the same between the two guns. But man, I'm telling you, the 12.8, I don't know, it's better. It feels a lot tighter. So this is weird because slipping back and forth between these things, the soft stats are exactly the same, and the 0.38 versus 0.37 is very close, and losing 0.2 seconds of aim time is not very. So, I'll have to do more. Like, maybe it's all in my head. Maybe it's just because I just thought that the small gun was substantially more accurate, but I swear to God, it feels more accurate. Something's up here. Anyways, but yes, and the whole thing here is that you are a big super heavy, right? You got 7 degrees of gun depression's okay. 400 meters of base view range is very good. Everybody, the crews, everybody, and it's an entire block party inside of this thing, 2 loaders and so on and so forth. 2,700 hit points. The armor is legit. We'll get to that. Actually, let's do the armor now. So in general, if you are playing against an E100 and they're playing very badly, you will see them like they've got a lower plate weak spot. And the turret face is very weak. It's also got this little, they call it, it's a rangefinder, but we call it the police bar on the top. That's a weak spot. But if someone's not playing their E100 very well, you just cheese them in the turret face, right? The turret face, when it's flat to you, is weak. A good player playing in an E100 will be angling like this. Then all of a sudden you see there's not so much to shoot at. So this is the key. If you're playing an E100, you want to be angling at about, what is that, about 30 degrees? And, the cornery bits, but don't go too far or you give them your side. But yeah, this is the magic number. And then when you're playing the E100 well, it can really block a lot of damage. When you're not playing it very well, you get this. So this is something to be aware of. It doesn't really, you don't really reverse side scrape in this thing. The side armor is pretty solid. But yeah, that's basically what you do is you angle, you show people this, and then when you're loaded and you're ready to shoot, you say pop, and then you go back to doing this, and then you're loaded again, and you go and you say shoot again. So it's basically, this is it. It's not a very hard concept to understand, but it's kind of challenging to put into practice. So it takes a little bit of work to play this tank and get used to it, and also angling against multiple enemies is pretty tough, right? If you've got multiple people shooting at you, it can be kind of hard to get this magic angle and not be giving somebody a flat spot to shoot at. So it's okay. But the combination of the DPM with the small gun and the hit points and so on and so forth is really a potent combination. So as far as equipment, right now on mine, I have a fairly vanilla setup, which is, hardening for almost 3,000, over 3,000 hit points, and then a rammer and then a V-stab. I've tried out a mobility build, of course, because that's what I do, with like a turbo and a mobility slot and so on and so forth. And like it's you definitely feel the difference, but it didn't feel like it was worth the trade-off. Like I wasn't fast enough to really like, oh god, there's an E100 in my face. You were just a fast E100. You weren't like playing with mediums or anything like that. So I know there are people out there that are going to try that, and that's, if you find something that really works, let me know. I tried, couldn't really find anything I was happy with. But you're always taking the all-terrain suspension. You're always taking parallax adjustment, always. I would take the view range always. And in this case, again, if you want to go turbo and a mobility slot, then go for it. Sure, I'll probably at least start with a firepower slot, and then of course, we'll do that. So for a higher top speed, and then I'm taking the internal module durability, so you don't get ammo racked as often, set on fire and stuff, because that does happen in this thing. The dispersion you can work around. So this is what I would do, at least to start. And if you're real spicy, if you want to get creative, you can do something like this with a turbo and a mobility slot and so on. And it's not a waste of time. I guess I would probably, in that case, I think I would still do this. I wouldn't drop the rammer. I think I would drop the V-stab. It's a tough call, right? So anyways, there's a lot of options with this. So that is that's the tank, and those are the stats. And let me know what you guys think about this, and we'll get into the replay. We've got an extra special one. There are 2 replays, both featuring Thunder. Thunder kicks ass in his E100 and showed me a couple of replays, and so I'm going to show this to you guys. So here we go. All right, so in this particular game, we're going to be starting off watching Thunder playing his E100. He's got the small gun, and you can tell the difference because of the muzzle brake. This tank, the small gun does not have a muzzle brake. The big gun, of course, is much larger and shorter and has a muzzle brake on it. That's how you can visually tell the difference. But Thunder is using the small gun, and I think he's actually using the turbo setup. Pretty sure he's using the turbo setup right now. And but we're in a game with tier 8s. There's 2 artillery per team. We're on Ensk playing. For some reason, we're on Ensk. Playing on Encounter because Thunder hasn't turned off Encounter like everybody should be doing. This is kind of best case scenario, right? It's a super heavy tank. You're playing on Ensk and you're against tier 8s, right? So I will say I don't like to cherry pick games like this, but this tank has been out for a long time. So there's a lot of reviews. If you're curious about what the thing can do beyond what I'm showing you, you can also look at a bunch of replays on tanks on wattreplays.eu. But yeah, we'll just kick back and watch Thunder show us how it's done, basically, and yeah, just enjoy the show. So Thunder's going to get to the main brawling area in the city. But because this is Encounter, we have an overabundance of players playing on the rails and the 8 line. So we're just going to be patient. Don't want to overextend because the team doesn't really necessarily look like they know what they're doing, or you don't really want to depend on your team. And that 277 is over angling. I'm not sure who he was trying to side scrape against, but he wasn't doing it properly for Thunder. And then this M103 popped out from the corner, so okay, that kind of shuts this position down, because you don't want to be trading, like giving away hit points to an M103. That's just not good plays. So we're gonna wait, just be patient. We don't want to leave, of course, but this 277 looks like he's maybe doing something. Like, you look at the team, right? Keep your eye on the mini-map this entire time. That's the key, the one takeaway here. And you can see that, like, a lot of our team is they're not very far away, but they're far enough away that they're not quite so, they're not engaged. They could leave and nobody would stop them. So Thunder is kind of isolated. Thunder and this Renegade are kind of isolated because they've gone forward just barely far enough. And we do seem to be losing the 8 line, right? So this kind of just waiting because this M103 is kind of shut down. I can tell Thunder really wants to go around, but this M103 has kind of shut that down, and now the M103 has been spotted going elsewhere. So Thunder was going to leave, but now since the M103 wants to give away some hit points and as soon as he crosses this gap, Thunder is pre-aimed and ready. And so just we just sit and wait and be patient and knock down the stuff that is stopping you from spotting. Very interesting. Yeah, so we're like position wise, that super conch you can see in the right is dead, and the FV-4202 certainly can't stand up against those 4 guys. So it's really not looking that great, honestly. This looks like Thunder might have to be a little more aggressive here, which is not ideal because both of the, a bunch of tier 10s are right here and doesn't really have a lot of support, but whatever, we're gonna do it. Easily shutting down the 277. I don't know, that guy must have just got that tank, but that's, it is what it is. You can see Thunder is using the accuracy, and he's gonna angle at some point. Yeah, so he angled his turret at the last second, and the hull is pretty solid, and so that's, you can fairly reliably, like, this tank will teach you to do it right, because if you do it wrong you'll get penned, but if you do it right you'll be fine. And so that's, and now because Thunder has, oh god, the support is here. Everybody has just decided, since Thunder has been the one to, oh gosh, Thunder pushed forward and everybody said, hey, he's doing it, I want to do it. So now all the help, all the friends are here. But again, we don't want to push all the way forward and isolate because the enemy team is wrapping around the backside. We didn't know where that T110 E4 was, and now we do. So let's just, oh, he had to throw the shot out there and see. But it's not really looking that great. The team hasn't really shown that it's really all that capable. Somehow the AT-15, oh, well, he was holding out there, but he's dead now. We don't really have that great of positioning, right? So because they have pushed through, our team is isolated. And so the Thunder is making definitely the right call here, going back to the base, trying to catch this push, right? Trying to get his gun in the game, trying to take out some of these tier 8s that are bullying some of our guys, and this 4202 and so on. It's a bit of a difficult situation. I want to be very, very cagey, very cautious, because if he just runs out there, there's enough tanks that he will be focused, right? He's the tier 10. If you're a tier 8 in a tier 10 game and you see the side of an E100, oh gosh, that's too bad. That's a shame that didn't go in. But then of course you're gonna focus it, right? You're gonna do what you can to take them out of the game, as you should. But you're seeing also one of the benefits of, so pay attention to the fact that the E100 is a very tall tank. A lot of the German tanks are very tall. And so because of that, Thunder can like look over top of this Renegade. Makes it very easy to play corners with teammates when you're in a German tank and they're in something else, because you can look over top of their tank, right? Thunder's going to try to, the E4 is isolated. I think he's going to go try to take out the E4 before the rest of the team pushes in the Renegade. Whether or not this is the right choice, I don't know. The E4 seems to be distracted with our artillery, so sure. Get an each shot in there. And again, this one should, because the E4 does not have a fully traversable turret on artillery, then we should be okay here. He just had to get around him a little bit and keep out of the front of the gun, because the E4 can only turn its gun 90 degrees to each side, so as soon as you get just a little bit behind it, they just can't do anything. But right now it is 1 versus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1 versus 7, right? And he immediately shot 1 down. There's a lot of 1 shots in the game though, so it's 1 versus 6 now. 1 versus 5. This is insane. And now basically Thunder needs to take some guns out of the fight. They're everywhere. There's too many of them, so it's important. 1 versus 4. What is happening? It's important that he starts shutting down some of these 1-shots, and the SU-101 is definitely on the cap because that's where the cap is, right? That's for some reason. Also worth noting, because this is a super heavy, these artillery are hitting him, and it's very annoying, and I hate artillery, but at the same time, they're only doing like 100 damage, right? It's very annoying, but it's only 100 damage. So like that bad chat, he's obviously got nothing else to shoot at. I'm not saying he's doing it wrong, but at the same time, you definitely can shrug off a lot of artillery damage when you're in a super heavy like this. So that's something that that's an extra bonus. I like the E100, it's fun to play. In fact, making this video kind of makes me want to play the E100 a little bit after I'm finished. So right now he's in a bit of a precarious position because the SU-101 is proxy spotting him. You can see him on the minimap there. That little circle next to on the minimap, you can turn that on in the vanilla client. If you are within 50 meters, or if you're within that, circle, then you are spotted, regardless of whether you're in a bush or not in a bush or whatever. And so because of that, Thunder can't really take a lot of chances because he's proxy spotted by by the other tanks, and the artillery is ready to rain down on him. So he's using these buildings as cover. He's in a tight spot. Like, they're all one shots, but at the same time, he's kind of hemmed in. Right? He's got 600 hit points. That's a lot. But what is happening? Okay. The artillery gets tired of waiting and throws his tank away. Very good. Okay, well that definitely helps. So now Thunder is going to go ahead and try to... Oh, I was going to... Well, the E100 definitely... I think he probably should have angled his turret to bait the shot, but luckily that prototype just decided to... I don't know, just not do it very well. He shot his hull, right? Maybe he was aiming for a lower plate or something like that. But if the E100 is showing his turret face to you, then that's just an easy pen. That's what you go for. All right, we shut it down to 8 kills, and that's probably the game, right? At this point, the prototype's a one shot. I don't know where the bat chat is, but there it is. What is happening? These ultra aggressive artillery, I don't understand. They're trying to do the flankerino or something, and I will say the bat chat artillery is very fast, but you know, okay, yeah, and so the prototype is actually the problem, to be quite honest with you. So this is a bit of a sticky spot. They're definitely doing it right. They were doing it right. You know, getting shot for an extra 44 damage. If it were me, I probably would have held off being the artillery, not shooting. But wow, there it is, the 10th kill. I know they kind of added up there real fast at the end. But yeah, what a game. Alright, so in game number 2 here, we are still watching Thunder, still playing an E100, still has this 128mm gun, still playing Encounter for some reason, but this time it's Lakeville. 1 artillery per game, per team. Only tier 9s and 10s in this game. We have, you know, 2 E100s and you can see the enemy E100, or sorry, the friendly, the other E100 we're right next to. You can see he has that long, or the shorter barrel, right, and the muzzle brake. That makes it very easy to tell that he's got the big gun and Thunder has the small gun. Perfect example of the two differences. And you can see them visually, so that's good to know if you're, you know, what you're facing. Right, as an you know, somebody, if you're facing off against one of these things, you can use that to determine how long their reload will be. So just keep that in mind. But yeah, it's the enemy team has a chieftain and a mouse and E100. So you know, a lot of you might be thinking, oh god, they have a chieftain and we don't, so we lose. That's not true. I mean, the chieftain's over there in the valley wasting his time, so he's basically taking himself out of the fight. And we're just gonna sit here and side scrape on this corner, and shooting through this little stuff, what is it, the broken parts of the building. If you play your cards right and you aim, you can shoot. You're about to see it happen right here, right? So you can shoot through these little corners and they provide really good cover, because from the enemy's perspective it's really hard to land a shot through where Thunder is shooting. But oh, lay it in, there it is. But Thunder's able to just keep clocking him away, right? We're only like a minute and a half in and he's already got 1600 damage. And this is the thing, like, this small gun doesn't hit as hard, but it does have the DPM, right? And we'll see if that one hits. So that E100 was last spotted at 1184. So we'll see when he's spotted again whether that one landed or not. But it's the DPM. You're able to do so much. If you have to trade, you can trade so much more. It just plays differently. You don't have to make every single shot. Your exposure time is lower. You can brawl a little bit easier. You don't have to, like, if you whiff one shot, you're not just done. And I'm not sure exactly why Thunder, he does this a couple of times in this game where he backs up, and I think maybe he's looking for a shot on this STB. But when you're way back here on this line where Thunder is, on the 0 line, you're pretty safe from the middle, and likewise you can't really shoot them. So it's not really worth his time. But anyways, and we found this mouse. A mouse is side scraping off of the corner and trying to get the cheeks of the mouse. The mouse, a lot of the German tanks, right, they have big, flat, chunky armor, and they're very similar in the way that in a German tank, oftentimes, you want to angle to maximize your armor, right? So like if you're looking just like an E100, if a mouse is looking right at you, you shoot it in the turret face and you're good. But if a mouse is angled about 30 degrees, there's not a lot that you or anyone else can do about it to pen that, unless there's a tiny little weak spot by the mantlet. But like, basically that's the thing. So angling your armor in a German tank is definitely the way to go. And yeah, I can't tell if Thunder hit him. I don't think he did. But we're just gonna wait and be patient because this is we're playing encounter again for some reason, and yeah, there's no rush, right? There's so many enemy tanks back there that it's not really worth pushing in and going la 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 and dying because that's what's gonna happen, right? And so Thunder is very wisely hanging back and conserving his hit points and just waiting. You know, he's a problem. The healthier you are, the later in the game, the more of an impact you can have. So there's no sense in running out there right now, early on, to throw your tank away. We're just gonna sit right here, and again, there's all those people probably sitting right back at the base, but yeah, the mouse so graciously gives up his lower plate, and you see this 1-4 is hit bounced for 320, so he must have the small gun. That's remarkable. I'm sorry for that 1-4. That's not, nobody likes to be stock. And then a Yag Tiger showing us exactly how not to play Yag Tigers. Here we go. Thank God friendly fire is off, by the way, because wow, you could just take shots like that and not worry about it. But here we go. Look at this. Look at that sliver of a shot. This is what makes this position so powerful. If they were to smooth out that building, this position would get way less good. But because there's all that rubble that you can shoot through, this position's really good. And that E100 is at 650, so I think that Thunder's earlier shot did pen, which is awesome, right? So we're already at like 3,200 damage. Our team has definitely died. You see that everybody that was on the cap is now dead. But we're just waiting. There's no reason to just YOLO in there. You have all these hit points and you have a big stupid gun, so let's just wait and see what the enemy gives you. Thunder is waiting for that, because the WZ, the only way you can engage anything from where that WZ is to poke your entire face out and go side on, and so Thunder was waiting for that, and that guy definitely gave it to us, and now we're waiting for this turret face shot. Oh my god, I can't believe that one hit. But, you know, you miss every shot you don't take, right? So just throw it down range. And that's another benefit of the small gun, right? So the big gun, you would want to make sure that every shot that you took was as good as it could possibly be. Oh, lower plate, 594, nice. But with the small gun, you have the DPM where it doesn't really matter. Imagine getting rammed to death by a mouse. Wow. You can afford to take more risky shots because you're going to be reloaded in, like, I don't know, what is it, 11 seconds? Not very long. So, again, this WZ just goes ahead and gives it away. And I think Thunder knows that this guy hasn't tapped. He's got the stock gun, but because he hasn't tapped 2, there's no way. Like, this WZ, if he had the big gun, then it would be a problem, right? But because he doesn't, Thunder knows he doesn't have to worry about it. So he just said, all right, here, have my turret face while I aim in on you. And that guy just took it, you know, he just accepted that he was going to give Thunder 1,800 hit points. Chieftain has come back around from the valley, which if you were paying attention to the minimap, then you would have known that also, and but that's okay. We have, it looks like, you know, kind of taken the valley, right? And so now it's Thunder with his still full hit points versus this Chieftain. And we're just going to wait, and Thunder has more hit points. So if he needs to trade 1 for 1, you definitely can. And now Thunder knows that the Chieftain is on reload, but he also doesn't want to get greedy and take one from the grill and the 50 TP that are in the back. So he's going to wait and see and back off. Looks like the middle is getting contested. And again, the whole thing here, it looks like Thunder's playing very conservatively, which I don't necessarily disagree with. Because this is the way that you maximize games, right? Don't put yourself in a position where the enemy has to, where like your friends have to help you. And that looks like the 50 TP was trying to hit the turret face, but because Thunder was able to aim, or was able to wiggle at the last second there, he ate it with his gun. But yeah, I think, you know, Thunder has been ready to back up and leave for most of this engagement, which is good. Like, if the enemy had pushed in a more intelligent way, this might have gone very, very differently. So Thunder was ready to back up and not overexpose and keep his hit points and make the most of his hit points, and that is how you maximize your impact in the game. And obviously Thunder did not want to sit and aim, and obviously he just had a lower plate there, but wanted to take the position that he could, and now it's basically over. I mean, it's, you know, we have We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tanks. They have just this one. So this is it. Thunder's, you know, you can see perfectly angling the turret. So this guy can't really do much. And there we go. We'll clock another one in, and we got 8,800 damage, by the way. And we're going to get this last one here and aim for the cupola. And you can see the 50 TP is trying to barrel block, and he's doing a really good job. I mean, it's really hard to barrel block against something like an E100 because it's so tall. It sits up so much taller than most tanks, but that is what barrel blocking does. All right, so for that first game on Ensk, the end plates for that one, we had 5,300 damage, 10 kills, almost 3,000 blocked, ace tanker, pools metal, the Caliban-offs, the one that everybody wants and nobody gets, and I've never gotten that one before. You know, steel wall, the whole everything, just all the things. Reaper, again, 5,300 damage, that's 1,494 base XP, and you can see here based on the damage, obviously Thunder's, it was his job to carry as a tier 10 in a tier 8 game, but he definitely stepped up and did that. And then at the end of the game, he also, you know, he didn't make any money, but that's okay. You know, you don't really play tier 10 to make money. That's just how it is. So that game ended up costing him 21,000 credits, but no big deal. All right, for the second game, we ended up taking home, Thunder ended up taking home 9,300 damage, 3 kills, 4,400 blocked. That's an ace tanker, high caliber. That was his second mark. That was his second mark of excellence for Z100. So congratulations to Thunder for that one. It was a 1,322 base XP. And he wasn't quite so, I mean, the other folks on his team in this particular game did a lot of work also. But, you know, obviously with 9,300 damage, you can't say you didn't have an impact. There's no doubt. And then, of course, you know, once again, you don't really make money at tier 10, and Thunder didn't this time either. So this one also cost him about 26,000 credits. But all in all, solid performances. This is a pretty good example of like what the E100 is capable of these days. Since it's got the buffs, the turret's much more solid. It's a lot of fun to play. So if you are on the fence at all, the line is pretty good these days. Even the Tiger 2 used to be god-awful, and it's pretty solid. So, yeah, without further ado, I think that's all I've got. And thanks for watching, guys. Be sure to hit the like and the subscribe and the bell so you'll get me on the next one. So, all right, thanks.